Hello, I'm Jason Turvey of the Class Consciousness Project, and welcome to the first in what will be a series of short bulletins updating you on class struggle in Britain and across the world. And we'll start in the transport industry, where workers at Birmingham Airport are being balloted for strike action after 2 years of pay cuts. Some 3/4 of the workers, who are members of the Unite trade union, are security workers being paid as little as £11.50 an hour for working unsociable shift patterns. The security workers received a paltry 2.8% pay rise in 2022 when inflation was running at 13.8%, a real terms pay cut of 11%. This year's pay offer is another real terms pay cut, this time in the form of a 7.75% pay increment and a one-off payment of £850. Alongside security staff, refuelling workers who are in the employ of Menzies Aviation are also being balloted by Unite in another dispute over pay at Birmingham Airport. They've been offered a 9% pay rise by Menzies Aviation, but workers say that this offer ignores the below inflation increase of just 6% they received last year, another rise which was an effective pay cut. Both groups of workers are not only angry at real terms pay cuts, but of the effects that poor wages and hours will have on future recruitment at Birmingham Airport. Strikes could start as early as next month. Meanwhile, at Heathrow Airport, security workers have called off their planned strike action after seeing an improved pay offer from their employer. Some 2,000 members of the Unite Union have agreed to postpone the strike action, which was scheduled for the 24th and 25th of June, while they ballot members on the latest offer. The workers, who announced 31 days of strikes between the 24th of June and the 31st of August, turned down a below-inflation offer of 10.1% and would have included staff working at Terminals 3 and 5 for the first time in this dispute. The latest offer is a 10% pay increase backdated to January 2023, which will be included in July's pay, with an 11.5% pay rise effective from October. The workers have indicated that they will be prepared to resume their strike action if the ballot result rejects this latest pay offer. Staying in transport, the train drivers' union ASLEF this week voted overwhelmingly to renew their mandate for strike action in their pay disputes across the country's train operating companies. The latest pay offer, which is just 4% for the pay year of March 2022 to March 2023, followed by another measly 4% pay rise for the pay year of March 2023 to March 2024, would be the first pay rise that train drivers on the affected companies have seen since 2019. Yet is still way below the current rate of inflation. The Rail Delivery Group, which represents the train operating companies involved in these strikes and has been bankrolled by the government since around April 2020, claimed that a number of reforms of what they called out-of-date working practices were required to help pay for this scant pay rise. Meanwhile, thousands of junior doctors went on strike earlier this week as their dispute with the government rumbles on. Doctors took part in a 72-hour walkout, the third strike they'd taken part in this year, which is over pay and concerns over staffing. The British Medical Association, which represents the doctors, has called for a full restoration of pay, which they say has been cut by some 26% over the last 15 years. The government has offered a pitiful 5% pay rise. A BMA Commission survey of its members has revealed that half of those polled are planning to leave the NHS or are considering leaving the NHS as a result of the government's actions in this dispute. Meanwhile, in Bristol, support staff who work at the University of Bristol have just taken the third day of 5 days of action in their dispute over pay. The workers, which include cleaners and administrators and are members of the Unison Union, have turned down the university's paltry 5% pay offer, way below the current cost of living, and are demanding a pay rise in line with the currently sky-high rate of inflation. The strike action has disrupted open days held at the university for undergraduate students. Turning now to international news, and dock workers on the west coast of the United States have reached a settlement in their dispute on pay. The International Longshoremen and Warehouse Union settled with the Pacific Marine Association in an agreement which includes all 29 west coast ports. The dispute has been ongoing for over a year and became extremely bitter as workers were accused of sabotaging operations in the docks, while the workers reported that shipping operators had made a profit of over $500 million during the pandemic, yet none of those huge profits were shared with the workers who created them. In Africa, 2,000 tuna fishermen from Senegal and the Ivory Coast to the west and the Gulf of Guinea and the Indian Ocean to the east went on strike last week in a huge dispute that has implications for the European Union. The strikers, who were protesting over poor pay and conditions, stated that the agreements that the European Union had made with African countries to promote sustainable employment and fishing in the seas aren't worth the paper they're written on, and accused the EU of unsustainable practices. The International Transport Workers Federation revealed that fishermen from Senegal and the Ivory Coast earn as little as £174 a month, or £42 a week, in a line of work notorious for being one of the most dangerous in the world. The International Labour Federation set the minimum monthly wage at £522 a month, 3 times what some of the fishermen are receiving. French and Spanish firms who have been licensed to fish for tuna in the waters west of Africa routinely fail to pay their workers the ASLEF minimum wage, while stocks of big eye and yellowfish tuna in the Indian Ocean are being overfished. The European Union fishes a third of all tropical tuna in the region. Representatives of the companies which own the EU fishing fleet denied accusations that they failed to comply with the agreements, despite the evidence of the ITF and the individual trade unions involved in the strike. And finally, Comrade Terry of the Class Consciousness Project was at the Cheshire Oaks shopping village on Friday, supporting the protest of the workers at the Regatta store, who are seeking recognition for their union Unite. And that wraps up our bulletin for this week. But if you're involved in a dispute that you think we should get to know about, please get in touch with us at classconsciousnessproject@gmail.com, and you can see what we're all about at the Class Consciousness Project at classconsciousnessproject.blog, and also find us on Twitter, on Instagram and on Facebook. Thanks for watching, and solidarity.